Episode of Talk to Tommy. I'm Tommy DiNucci, and I'm going to be coming at you every week with a little bit of a filmmaking show here. I'm going to just talk about what I got going on in the world of movie making and what I'm working on that week, what's going on. We're going to talk a little bit about everything. I'm going to open it up live here, so people want to come on and talk to me and my cat Larry. You can hear him there. You're gonna hear Larry a lot on this show. We're recording this live from my editing studio here, right in Cranston, top secret location. So we're just gonna get into it. I've been kind of itching to get back on in front of a camera and just do this. So I might be a little rusty. It's been a while since some of you might remember And Action Filmmaking Podcast. This show's gonna be a little bit like that, except it's just me and Larry. But we're excited to have anyone on here who's watching. Hey, what's up? Kim Kalen joining us, one of our And Action friends. We're back. We're back to some capacity with Larry, who seems really eager to join us tonight. Things have been going great. 2025 was a very fast year. I don't know about y'all, but that thing just flew by for me. Especially like from summer to now. It seems like, a minute ago it was the 4th of July, and we're a couple days away from Thanksgiving. So it was a quick one, but a productive one. Usually when time's flying, that means there's a lot going on, and that's not always a bad thing. I've been working on a movie called Bad News on the Doorstep. That's a coming of age thriller about a couple of football prospects that have to decide after high school, do we get into, the standard path of college football, become athletes, academia, or do we get into organized crime? They're both kind of young Italian Americans with certain connections. So that's the battle of Bad News on the Doorstep. It's based on a book by Joe Servasio. It was really fun to adapt this book into a screenplay. Shot that last year with Verdi Productions here in Rhode Island. Amazing cast. Chaz Palminteri, Dante Palminteri, Robert Davi, Nick Davi, of course, Sistine Stallone. Just a really amazing cast from top to bottom. I'm going to be talking about that a lot as we go on here with these weekly Talk to Tommy segments right here live on my YouTube channel. I'm going to get on and, like I said, this is kind of an open forum where we can talk about movies, but I am going to try to keep some general topics rolling so that we can have some kind of a format. But yeah, Bad News on the Doorstep. We shot that movie back in May, right here in Rhode Island. And I've been working with my editor, Tyler, to put the pieces together. And we have a locked picture now, and I'm really excited about that. So next step is music. We locked the movie, the edits together. We got a nice sharp cut. And, movies live and die by the music, right? I mean, all of your favorite movies have most likely score and even licensed music tracks that really do it for you. And there's nothing like setting the mood, especially when you're dealing with a period movie. Bad News on the Doorstep takes place in the late 1950s. So music was key on this one. So I'm working with a composer by the name of Chris Walden, who is a super talent. And I'm a little nervous to work with him because this guy's like the real deal. I mean, he has arranged music for Michael Bublé, Mariah Carey. He's a composer for the Oscars and the Grammys. Like, the music, like all the music you hear at the Oscars. Well, Chris Walden's the guy who literally composes that. So he's working on my movie. I'm really excited. And like I said, a little nervous. He's definitely the biggest composer I ever worked with. So should be fun. Honestly, I'm just looking forward to the process. We're going to hop on a Zoom call tomorrow. So we're doing what's called a spotting session, which is where you basically watch the movie with the composer and you start the very early conversations about okay, I think this scene needs music here. This scene we should probably just let breathe, just let the actors kind of do their thing. Ooh, this scene, you're gonna need something intense right here. So tomorrow, and again, I'm guessing because I've never worked with a composer of this stature, but that would be my guess. I think we're probably gonna go through it and just talk about like which portions of the movie require his handiwork and the kind of feeling that we want to get out of it, you know? Because again, it's a period piece. So capturing that late 1950s sound is going to be everything for us. So that's what's going on tomorrow. Pretty fired up about that. What are some of your favorite composers while we're talking about it? Feel free to drop it down in the comments. I think everyone's go-to favorite composer is by far, it's got to be John Williams, right? I mean, Star Wars, Indiana Jones, the list goes on and on. I think he just came out of retirement to work with Steven Spielberg again on something. So John Williams, shout out to John Williams, by far my favorite composer. 90 years old, I believe, still doing it. It goes to show you that it's not always about work, you know. It's not about just when you're an artist, you can't help yourself, right? You could be 90 years old and it's still enough to be like, yeah, I want to get out of bed today and go do this. So pretty cool to see that. But drop down your favorite composer in the comments below. Might be Danny Elfman. Who knows? There's a lot of great composers out there. Uh, so I'd like to hear what your favorites are. So that'll be tomorrow. But in the meantime, while I'm getting this ready, I can't really talk about much about my next project, but I can tell you a little bit about it. I have started the storyboarding process. See this right here? This is a blank storyboard book. I highly recommend if you're about to get into any film endeavor, whether it's a short film, whether it's a commercial, whatever you're doing that involves telling a story with a camera, get yourself one of these books. You can get them on Amazon for, I want to say, like, I think this was $9. And it's really cool because on the inside, you get these blank storyboard pages, and it's just a great template. And you can fill this whole thing up. What's kind of exciting is this is the actual book that I used to do all of my storyboards for Bad News on the Doorstep. In fact, if you scroll through here, if I flip through, you can see that's all Bad News on the Doorstep. I got a little crazy. I'm gonna tell you, I get obsessed with this stuff. I drew right around just under 1,000 frames for Bad News on the Doorstep. I filled up half of one of these. Basically, each page, as you can see, has 9 box on it, 9 squares, 9, I guess they're rectangles really, but 9 blank templates. And I did 100 pages for Bad News on the Doorstep. So I'm not the best at math, but I think that checks out to around 900 frames that I drew for that. And the fun part is one of these storyboard books that you can get, again, on Amazon for $9, it has 208 pages in it. So guess what? I saved a little money. I'm going to put my next movie right in this one because Bad News was page 1 to 100. I get 100 pages left. Chances are it's going to be around the same. I'm going to cram 2 movies into this one blank storyboard book. That's my goal. So the storyboards are really important. You know, you got to have a plan going into things, especially when you're shooting, obviously, on a budget and in a certain amount of time. You got a limited time frame to shoot this. We can't just be willy-nilly shooting all day long. We got our 12-hour days. If it goes over that, it's overtime. I have a limited amount of overtime that I'm allowed to use. And if I keep using that overtime, I'm going to get in trouble. My producers are not going to like me very much. So the storyboard's important. So you have a game plan. And look, things are always going to change. It's hard because a lot of times, like the case I'm dealing with right now, I haven't even seen the locations that I'm drawing storyboards for. So I have to kind of envision what the room's going to look like. And I can't be too married to any one concept because on the day I might show up and, oh man, there's not a door where I thought there was going to be a door, or there's actually a window where there's not where I thought there'd be a closet. Now there's a window there. So I try not to get too married to the space when I draw these storyboards. It's really about camera movement, knowing the size of the shot that I actually want and what I'm trying to get out of it emotionally. What kind of story do I want that camera to tell in that frame? And even without knowing the space, I can get a pretty good idea of like, ooh, I definitely want this scene between these two actors to hang in just one two shot, very limited coverage. Or there's other scenes where I'm like, a lot of action in this scene. I think would be really cool to, build some intensity by intercutting between these two moments and, building tension. You can figure that out without even stepping foot in the location. So I'm a few months out. I've got time, and I'm really thinking about it. And what you don't realize is while you're drawing these storyboards, you're thinking about all these other little aspects. You're thinking about, I wonder what this character would be wearing. Oh, let me draw this guy in a polo shirt, or oh, let me give her a hat in this scene. And you start just your brain starts doing all of this kind of mental prep work for what you want your movie to look like. And for me, part of the process always, always, always is when I'm in prep, I'm watching movies that I want to try to emulate a little bit, that have similar vibe, tone to what I'm about to make. So, got a list of movies. I'll put those movies on, I'll have them going, and I'll be drawing my storyboards. I'll occasionally be looking up, take a peek at a scene, maybe get an idea, maybe get a little inspiration. And then when, you can't just always be watching movies. Sometimes I have a playlist. I'll have music that kind of reminds me of the vibe of that project that I'm working on. Get that playlist going. And, that's another way to kind of get in the zone. I know a lot of people are going to come out and say this about storyboards. Well, I'm not really much of an artist, right? That's what I always hear. I got news for you. My art skills peaked when I was in eighth grade. I'm not much of an artist either when it comes to drawing pictures. I wish I was. And you can get a little bit better. I do remember that on Bad News on the Doorstep. If you look at the first couple pages and then towards the end of the book, like my drawing skills definitely improved. You start to learn like, oh, that's how you draw an ear. That's how you draw a nose really fast. But my point is like, you really don't have to be the best artist in the world. I think that it's really just about you got to have enough variation in your drawing so you know which character is which. Obviously, you'll hear people say, "Oh, you can use stick figures." Yeah, you can, but like it's a little tough with stick figures because you can't just quickly look at that page and be like, "Oh, this is the character Jim. This is the character Steve." It's like, well, wait, which stick is which? Whose sticks are whose over here? So I try to, give it a good effort and draw. Like I said, I'm not the best, but it's all about figuring out the shots, and you can do that without being a Norman Rockwell. So give it a shot. Try one. Check out one of these. But again, just literally all I did was I Googled blank storyboard book, and this will come up. It's got this funky cover. You will not be disappointed. I'm telling you, when it comes to prep, that's probably some of the best $13 you could spend. So that's what's going on. We're prepping for a movie, which I'm sure in the coming weeks I'll be able to talk a little bit more about. Bad News on the Doorstep. I got my composer session tomorrow. I'm pretty fired up about that. Next week I'll tell you how that went. And I'm pretty. This again. It's gonna be a fun next few months. In February, my movie The Roaring Game comes out, which is it's a comedy. It's the first comedy that I ever made. So Roaring Game will be dropping in February of 2026. That's got Darren Brooks, Mickey Rourke, William Forsythe, Eddie K. Thomas. It's a movie about Olympic curling. That's right. The movie with the rocks on the ice and they slide them down. And it's chess on ice. It's a lot of strategy that goes into this. We had a blast making that movie. Definitely going to do a deep dive on Roaring Game when it gets a little closer. Who knows? We might even have a couple of the stars of Roaring Game right here on the show with us to talk about that one. I love those guys. A lot of times you make movies and you don't always make friends, right? I mean, listen, it ain't show friends, it's show business. So we're not here to make best friends with everyone. But Roaring Game was definitely a movie where I made a couple of really good friends that I still we still talk. I don't want to single anyone out, but Darren Brooks and I have become really good buddies, and just such a positive guy, always there for a laugh and to pick you up. So uh, be fun to chat with him. Maybe we'll get him on the show. He plays the lead, Ricky, who's basically a janitor. This movie's about a janitor who gets heartbroken, and in an effort to win his girlfriend back, he realizes that you know what? He's not just a loser, alcoholic janitor. He's got some special skills, and having the ability to sweep as great as he can sweep happens to give him a little bit of a superpower that allows him to be one of the greatest curlers in the history of the sport. And he, forms a ragtag team with his buddies, and they go for the gold. It's your classic kind of dodgeball esque comedy. Kind of reminds me of something that might have come out in 1998, and we kind of played it that way. And we're kind of it's all right. Yeah, you hate to hear this phrase is overused so much. When artists love to say it's my love letter to blah blah blah. It's such a cliche thing to say, but it really is a love letter to all of the comedies I grew up on as a kid. And there's a really funny backstory to this movie, which I'll tell you the full backstory when maybe when we do our full on deep dive for the Roaring Game. But the truth is, I wrote this script when I was 22 years old. I kicked around forever. If you look at me, I'm a couple of years older than that now. I got a little wear and tear on me now. I ain't 22. That was a long time ago. That was let's see, it was about 18, 19 years ago. I wrote this script, and it was picked up as a deal. Came as a package deal with two scripts, uh, and the producer Chad Verdi went on to make one of those scripts, and that was Self Storage, which was the first ever movie I made. But remember, Self Storage was kind of packaged with this curling movie that was completed and written and sat on the proverbial shelf for 15, 16 years. And not because it was a bad script or, Chad didn't want to make the movie. It was just other opportunities kept coming up. Something else would come up. And every couple of years, I would get I would get a call from Chad, and we'd have a brief conversation about like, oh, maybe we'll do the curling movie. And Chad always had this great plan to have that movie come out right when the Winter Olympics are coming out. That was always his plan. And we would always talk about it. Again, we're talking about a span of almost 16 years. That's every 4 years are the Olympics. So it's like 4, 8, 12. So that's 4 Olympics had gone by. 4 Olympic Games since this script was written into when we actually made it. And every Olympics, it would be like, hey, maybe, we'd be like, oh, we just saw curling on TV. And anytime you see curling on TV, it's one of those sports. I don't know about you, but this is literally the reason why I wrote the script. But you'd see it, and there'd be something about the sport that's just like gravitating. You'd be like, man, something fascinating about this. It's just so different, and it's like just oddly watchable. Uh, so we would talk about it a lot, but then other projects kept coming up, and we just never made it. And then finally, I got that fateful call from Chad one day, and he was like, Tommy, I think it's time to dust off the curling script and make that movie. Winter Olympics are coming up, at the time would have been like in a year and a half or so. Plenty of time to make the film, get it ready for market, get it out there right around the Olympic time. And sure enough, here we are. I saw my first commercial the other day, Snoop Dogg promoting the Olympics, the Winter Olympics. Uh, and the timing's just great. So this movie's coming out, like I said, February of 26, right in line with the Winter Games. So pretty fired up about that. It's a pretty cool story. We'll talk about that more when we do a full-on deep dive a little bit later. But all is good, man. I mean, I really can't complain. It's fun to be back in front of a camera just chatting. Like I said, I really want to open this up to everybody else too. So it's a great place to drop down any of your filmmaking questions, ideas, comments, thoughts. A lot of weird stuff's going on in the industry right now. I feel like Us humans got to stick together because you never know. Before long, AI might just take over the whole business. So while we're here, while we're drawing breaths of air and doing things that robots can't do, let's stick together and continue this great community that we have making movies, right? Uh, Thanksgiving's coming up. I think it's everyone's low key favorite holiday, right? Because, look, there's all we know you can almost check the boxes when people like, why do people like Thanksgiving? No gifts. You hear that a lot, right? People always say, well, it's great because you don't have to bring gifts. And really, all your mission is that day to be with friends and family and eat and eat and eat. And when you're done eating, you take a little break and you're going to eat some more. And of course, if you're like me, football is also a nice thing to have on with you as a friend on the TV for the whole day. So I'm excited. I'm going to go to my parents' house in here in Bristol, Rhode Island, over by the beach, and just kind of kick it. Just load up, carb load. It's International Carb Load Day, and I'm going to do some damage, man. People that are health conscious, I just want to say this because I don't know if you don't know this about me. I've been kind of like a little bit of an on and off again fitness freak most of my adult life. And I used to diet sometimes on holidays. I used to think that that mattered. And I used to say, well, go easy. F that, all right? It's Thanksgiving. I want you to eat all your favorite stuff. Don't worry about that. Listen, just the bottom line is a lot of times people just like put too much emphasis on I'm going to behave myself. It's like, it's a holiday, man. Now, listen, that doesn't mean you can, eat like you're going to the chair all weekend. Maybe you watch your ass on Friday or on Saturday. Maybe you don't have that extra trip to the fast food place on a Sunday, but eat whatever you want on Thursday, man. Go for it. I know I will be. That's for damn sure. Um, Favorite Thanksgiving foods? For me, it's all about the mashed potatoes and gravy. I think stuffing is also kind of a close second. What are your favorite sides? Drop them down. We'll talk about it. We'll chat about it. Put your sides down there, and we'll talk about it next week when I go through the comments. How about squash? Squash is hit or miss, man. I've had some really good squash, and I've had some squash where it's like it literally tastes like you're eating like something that came out of the ground. Um, but yeah, I'm excited for Thanksgiving. Christmas is coming. It's all happening, guys. The month of December is going to be complete bedlam. Uh, that's why I try my best to keep my business going through the Christmas months. And when I say my business, I mean making films. Every day to every other day, I'm on some kind of call or some kind of Zoom or writing some kind of email trying to stoke business because if you're an artist, if you're a writer, director, filmmaker, actor, you don't have the traditional methods of getting work. You gotta sing for your supper. You gotta put yourself out there a lot. Um, and it's anybody who knows this industry knows that the movie business pretty much shuts down the month of December and a great portion of January and even sometimes into February sometimes. But things wake up a little bit. But December particularly is just a dead month. Like good luck getting anything done. Obviously end of December into January. It seems like the whole, I hate to use this word, but Hollywood really takes a break during that stretch. So I'm happy to have something prep because I go nuts if I don't do something. Like, I got to be working. So I'll be working on my storyboards. I'll be working with Chris Walden on the score to Bad News on the Doorstep. But it definitely does slow down. So I guess, sometimes when that happens, it's like the universe's way of telling you to lean into that a little bit, focus on things that you can. What do they always say? What's that all? Not to get too self-helpy, but control the things you can control, right? That's all we can do because the business is about to take a little break for a while. But that doesn't mean we can't be gearing up for what's to come in 2026. And I have a feeling it's going to be a pretty big year, 2026, man. Starting to sound like a futuristic space age number, which makes sense because, the robots are coming in full force. How is AI affecting your creative lives? I'm trying to use it for the better. I really am. I mean, listen, I think AI is obviously here to stay. It doesn't seem like it's going anywhere. I saw a couple of Coca-Cola came out and they made one of the classic Santa, Coca-Cola commercials, and it was fully AI. I'm pretty sure it was the first one that they did, where from start to finish, this whole commercial is AI, and it's pretty good, And I think that you're going to start to see more and more of that in advertising. I think that'll be the first place because, not to take a shot at advertising. Some of the greatest, most creative pieces ever filmed are commercials, but the truth is, I think that there's probably a little more emphasis on the bottom line when it comes to marketing and advertising. And hey, if they can have AI throw together a commercial in, a week that would take humans a month, it's obvious they're going to do it. I mean, it's sad. I don't want to see it go that way, but I'm kind of at the point where I hate to say this, but if you can't beat them, join them. I mean, what else are we going to do? If we don't figure out ways to utilize and incorporate AI into what we're already doing, I mean, you might end up being like looked upon like, I don't know, it'd be like if you went back to the turn of the century and you went up to a carpenter and you said, "Hey, someday, see that handsaw you got there that you're sweating all day cranking on? Yeah, someday there's going to be something called a chainsaw and you can just hack that thing right down, cut a tree right down in seconds." They might think that's blasphemy with your futuristic gas-powered cutting tools. Should be doing your hard work by hand and chopping that tree down. But the truth is, I mean, hey man, I can chop that tree down in 30 seconds with the chainsaw. So it's like maybe this is just the natural evolution of a tool, which is also the name of my autobiography coming soon. The Natural Evolution of a Tool. Just kidding. Just seeing if you're still paying attention. Uh, yeah, I don't know. I'm trying to figure out how to make it work because I definitely see some advantages. I've definitely worked on a lot of projects with visual effects artists and things like that. And, it could be very time consuming and expensive. And I do see a world like I think that's the first people that are going to get hit with it. If you have any friends in the visual effects world, you might want to tell them to, uh, I don't want to say look for a new job, but maybe either A, figure out how to use AI as an ally, or B, maybe start taking classes doing something else. Because I really do think that the first group of people that are going to get hurt the most are the visual effects artists. I don't know if you've seen a Marvel movie or a Star Wars movie, but those credits, and it's just like seemingly a never-ending list of people that are working in the visual effects studio to create these fantastical worlds and images that you see in a Marvel movie or in a Star Wars movie. Those will be the first people to take a real shot because those environments that you see that all those people that are listed in those credits spend so much time making, they're going to be able to be produced in minutes, if not seconds, eventually, by AI. And yeah, I get it. I mean, listen, I've heard all of the arguments against it. It was a plagiarization machine because it's really just taking a bunch of thoughts, ideas, images that have already been created and just kind of spitting it out in its own form. But again, it's like, isn't that kind of what we do? Are we just plagiarization machines? You're going to call Quentin Tarantino a plagiarization machine because he likes to take shots from movies that inspire him. I mean, isn't that what art is? Isn't art always about just taking what already exists and making it your own? Are there any original ideas anymore? I don't know. We'll leave you with that. In closing, I'm pretty excited because my YouTube channel just got over 3.5 million views. That's when all the balloons are supposed to come down. Where are my balloon effects? Confetti. 3.5 million views. I've been really focusing on YouTube Shorts. So if you haven't checked out my YouTube Shorts, uh, pop on over and take a look. I love making them. I've been doing them just about my day-to-day life. Everything from, fitness to movies to hanging out with my girlfriend to my cat. Work, I've been working out a little bit more. Uh, During pandemic, I ended up getting a squat rack and weights, and I was just working out of my house. Um, and that was cool for a little while, but then I got to the point where like I was kind of getting into it again, and I wanted to go back to it. And I found this awesome gym right near my house, and that's where I am now. So shout out to Revival Fitness. They are moving soon. It's going to be a little further away from my house, but that's okay. But yeah, YouTube. I'm going on a tangent here. YouTube Shorts. It's kind of just like my daily life vlog. So check it out. Kim, shout out to you. Thank you for jumping on here and saying hi. Uh, I hope everyone has a really happy Thanksgiving. And like I said, just chill for a day. We all deserve that, right? A little hang time, a little massive calorie overload. It's good for you. It's healthy, damn it. Next week I'll keep you posted on how my meeting with Chris Walden, my new composer, goes. And I'll be looking forward to hearing how your holiday festivities went. And hey, it's officially time. Crank up the Christmas music. Get your Christmas decor on. That's my rule. Listen, I don't have a lot of rules in life. I'm kind of one of those people who's like, hey, you live your life your way. I'll live my life my way. It ain't bothering me what you do if what I do ain't bothering you. But I got some rules. Christmas music before Thanksgiving is a no-no. And Christmas decor before Thanksgiving is a no-no. Like my mom always says, let the turkey have its day, all right? Don't be rushing the season. But now it's okay. You get the green light. Listen, tomorrow, I want to see all those decorations out. You're going to see my tree go up real soon. This place is going to be, these halls are going to be decked by next week. So we'll be checking back in with you next week. I'm going to try to figure out a consistent day that works because I know consistency is always big with this type of a format. But we're going to try it out. There's a lot going on right now, but I'm just happy to be back in front of a camera, chatting with you all. And remember, don't be shy, don't be bashful. You got your filmmaking questions. You want to know something, drop it down in the comments below. If we didn't talk about it now, I'll come back. I'll answer. We'll talk about it next week. All right, this has been Talk to Tommy. I'm Tommy, and although it's been mostly me talking to you, eventually, hopefully you can come on here and we can have a little back and forth. All right, y'all. Happy Thanksgiving. We'll see you next week.